In the uncomfortable haze of sleep paralysis, the nightmarish doors of your subconscious remain open. All the while, you're forced to witness whatever horrors your mind can throw at you. Ancient tales as far back as the Middle Ages chronicle crazed demons torturing their immobile victims as they lay defenseless. Numerous have recalled a collage of different visions when they woke up frozen throughout time. Everyone's mind is different, the stories vary widely, but what if we told you there was one singular person who seems to encompass all sleep paralysis stories? You may have heard of him. His name is the Hat Man. When the world was less knowledgeable about the root cause of late-night visions and hallucinations, the blame was placed solely on otherworldly forces such as demons and malevolent spirits. Depictions from the Middle Ages illustrated goblin-like demons sitting upon the chests of their helpless victims, smiling devilishly as they looked at the wide-eyed person they'd chosen to torture. Their minds ran wild, their breathing constricted. Even though our understanding of these foggy visions has improved over time, the precise origins have yet to be pinpointed with full certainty, and the hallucinations have only persisted, continuing to wreak havoc on unsuspecting sleepers. But in recent years, thanks to social media, connections have been made between individuals worldwide, telling the familiar story of a particular shadow person that many seem to recognize. A being known as the Hat Man. Reminiscent of a 1940s detective, the Hat Man has no backstory, no lore, simply the title of a shadow person aptly named for one detail, his signature fedora. Whether he be standing in the corner of your bedroom as you straddle the planes of consciousness, or maybe saw him out of the corner of your eye, the Hat Man tends to pay visits to everyone. The frustrating aspect of the enigmatic figure is how elusive he is. Most, if not all, stories surrounding him never detail a face, type of clothes, or voice, just the shadow or an outline of a mysterious person whose only purpose is staring them down. But why? What is his purpose? Is it simply to scare? Or is there some kind of tear in the veil between the living and the spirit realm? We think this story from Reddit user Low-Key Masterpiece explains the average Hat Man experience perfectly, saying, quote, "I was in bed one night, 2018, lying on my back, and a tall, slender man in a wide-brimmed hat walked into my room. He was shadowy and featureless. He was sort of a blurred darkness. It was a small apartment in the East Village with just enough room for a queen-size bed and a couple of nightstands. He came into my room and slowly walked around the end of the bed and up the side of the bed where I was lying, loomed over me. The man wasn't outwardly menacing because he was featureless, but everything in me screamed that it had ill intent. I was fighting with every ounce of my strength to jump up and fight, or run, or do anything. Eventually, I was able to break the paralysis and kick the air, and it disappeared. I was terrified and never talked to anyone about it until years later, when a friend mentioned word for word the same experience. Really shook me up. I've never experienced before or after night terrors, sleep paralysis, or paranormal activity. The memory is vivid and visceral, and sometimes comes to me as I'm trying to fall asleep. Not the experience, but just a sort of nightmare as I'm drifting off to sleep and I jump awake. This very story can be corroborated likely by hundreds, if not more. And like the Hat Man, other trending sleep paralysis characters are known for making regular appearances as well. Like the illustration of the demon in the Middle Ages, longtime reports of horrifying hag-like creatures have apparently sat on the chests of sleepers, causing a mix of panic and a hard time breathing. A similar demon with freakishly long fingernails is said to slowly approach someone with a full belly and trample them relentlessly. Pisadira being her name. But another question is, what if you don't suffer from sleep disorders like sleep paralysis? Instead, what does it mean when beings like the Hat Man appear before you when you're wide awake? Shadow people, like the Hat Man, are explained away by their name alone, entities that are or resemble shadows, people or things that seem to be draped completely in blackness. They don't particularly have to appear during a bout of sleep hallucinations either. Shadow people can be categorized similarly to how ghosts are, appearing in haunted locations, peering behind windows, and just out of your peripheral. Have you ever looked around a dark room, relaxed in your bed, when you suddenly flinched out of fear, thinking you saw someone standing in the corner? These could be one of two things: a bundle of clothes sitting on your chair, resembling the silhouette of a person, or something else. If you go looking for stories, you'll find others have unfortunately experienced different, more disturbing results. No one really knows what they are or where they come from, but just like paralysis demons, their existence has a series of religious and cultural origins. For reference, this is what they look like.
What the hell is that noise?
Son of a bitch!
What the hell is that noise?
Son of a bitch!
One known legend of a similar shadow being comes from indigenous folklore. Nalusa Falea in Choctaw translates to long, tall being. It's detailed as a shadowy creature or monster who stalks its victims from the woods, these victims never to be seen again. Other faiths take no time in branding shadow people as demons, intended to be purged from wherever they linger, while others theorize they may be anything but malevolent, that perhaps shadow beings are just as afraid of who they haunt, that maybe they're trying to communicate with us somehow. There are seemingly thousands of videos spread across the internet, swearing up and down that we're bearing witness to shadow people, running past the corridor, curiously looking through a doorway, or some even boldly showing themselves right in front of the camera. And even though it seems easy to discredit all other entities from the sleep paralysis roster, where exactly does the Hat Man lie? Still a figment of the collective imagination? Or can it be considered a member of the paranormal shadow people? It's not hard to conclude that hallucinations are a hard thing to dissect. This is rather unknown territory, and what the mind can conjure is seemingly endless. The catch about the Hat Man is the theory that he's so well known that the popularity of his stories may have left impressions on more and more people over the course of time. In short, if enough people listen and absorb the story, the greater the likelihood that they'll see him in their next sleep paralysis episode. Otherwise, they wouldn't have known he even existed in the first place. Thing is, that also bears the question, how many people have actually seen the Hat Man without ever hearing a word about him? No reference whatsoever. The question at the end of the day is, why him? Why the Hat Man? In what logical way does one unique silhouette make itself known to, seemingly, countless people? Is the Hat Man the product of shared delusion among many? Or is he so common that it would be too easy to count him out as just a coincidence? More importantly, have you experienced the Hat Man or shadow people yourself? Let us know.